All right, I am here and I am doing a live stream. My name is Sam Irvin, and this is 8 Note, or 8 parentheses PM into parentheses note. Still no neon sign with a smoke machine. It's coming. This is the weekly live stream that I do in my studio in Asheville, North Carolina. I run a small company called Irvin Music Studio. That's also, I guess, the name of this place that I'm at. It serves as a hub for my lessons and my event entertainment, rehearsals, and creative projects like this. This live stream has a different Asheville musician guest on every week, and today it's Graham Whitley. We're going to talk looping. I'm pretty excited about that. Let's see, what else am I trying to say up top? It is December 28th, and it's pretty cold outside. This live stream is an hour of chatting and an hour of jamming, and not much format past that, even in the preamble. Not a whole lot of organized thought going into it. But I do like to talk about why I do this live stream up front, three main reasons. One, to build community, to give these musicians a platform to speak out to music enthusiasts who might be tuning in, but also for me to get to know different perspectives of music better. I wanted to carve out a time in my life, a weekly time, a regular time, to get creative just for creative sake and play in the sandbox and, just sort of have fun, talking shop and making weird noises. So this is that. And I also wanted to, practice utilizing my studio, I want to advertise what I can do down here with the sound production department of my small business, but I want to practice those audio visual chops, and so hopefully you can hear me right now. Hopefully those chops are coming through. But yeah, so that's why I do the live stream. I mentioned that I teach music lessons and offer event entertainment on solo guitar, string combos, jazz ensembles, that sort of stuff, and do recording and mixing and other general production work. Not a whole lot of gigs happening right now for me to talk about, or musical endeavors. Still learning the MPC-1. I updated my Moog 1 recently, finally, and got all the presets mapped the way that I like it on that. Spent some time thinking about how I wanted to augment the studio, adding a nice Bose Sub 2 that's coming, which fits in great with my two Bose S1 Pros that I use for gigging right now. They sort of form their own little PA, and eventually I'll upgrade to the L1. I'm also about to upgrade these mics, so I haven't used these PGs before, these PGX, but I wanted to do a sort of test run with the mic stands, because I just got SM7Bs that I'm really excited about. They're like the podcasting, or hopefully they work for live streams too, or maybe the quality will be so much better that I'll make this live stream available as a podcast too. But excited for those mics, and those, so just thinking about gear is what I'm doing a lot of, I guess, which is appropriate around Christmas time, for my musical exploits. I think that's enough rambling. A little preview of what I'm going to do for the live stream next week. Not preview. What is a prediction? I'm not sure, because I'm not sure what I'm going to do next week, but it will just be me. Maybe a tour of the studio, or maybe I'll show what I've been working on my album so far. But tune in to get just sort of me working on myself, in the new year, a New Year's resolution themed 8 note. But today, let's go ahead and get my guest on before I bore everybody anymore. We got Graham Whitley here, who's going to play some awesome guest intro music. Hey, yes, nice. You are a tall fellow. Make sure to get that mic in play. And also, I'm going to take a second. So a tradition of the show is for me to check and make sure that we have volume, that people can hear us. So I don't have a producer yet. Oh, nice. We sound so clear, yeah.
Sounding legit.
Let's have you say something too and make sure that we got...
I think I just am about to.
Oh, you said nice. I saw that. That's good. You say something too and make sure that we got... we sound so good. These mics...
Crystal clear.
Crystal clear. Better than... I had a condenser mic aimed, right here because we're going to be looking at each other as we talk. And that was doing pretty good. The clip-on mic's too much rubbing.
Oh, man.
And I was too self-conscious that, because it was sort of resting on my neck. So I figure every time I took a sip of water, it was like a gigantic gulp.
And I personally, I think that you don't even need the SM7Bs, the big, the podcasting staple. I think just any kind of directional mic is good enough. I think it's more by the looks for those things. I love just like, if it works, it works.
They are professional looking. I think that is part of it. Yeah, part of why I desire them.
I am an if it works kind of person when it comes to gear, especially stuff like that. I'm like, well, I think you could, just put something on the channel to make it sound a little bit better.
Yeah. I do have some compression and some noise reduction on this channel. These two mics go into like a mixer over there to sum those signals up before they go into one stereo channel in my Focusrite.
Yeah.
And that seems to make it a little bit louder too than if I just have them going into two separate channels.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not exactly sure why. I think I can add some gain on that at that mixer level.
Yeah. Maybe there's another preamp in there somewhere that takes it off. Who knows? I'm not sure.
Nope, I'm not sure either. Tell me about so we know each other from UNCA.
Yep.
And I think you're the first, I don't know, don't quote me on this, because now I'm 46 episodes in. That's something I should say up top. This is number 46 of this live stream. I think you're the rare person who contacted me and said, like, I saw you doing this with Ben Hovey talking looping. Right. That's really cool. And I was flattered that somebody was watching and invited you on.
I was like, hey, I haven't seen Sam in a long time, and I've been meaning to catch up with you anyway. I see you on socials and things. I like what you're doing, and I'm just like, hey, what's up? And you're like, well, come on the podcast. I didn't expect that, so I was like, cool, I would love to.
That's exactly what it's for, really, to connect with old friends and get to know people a little bit better.
That's great.
It's like getting to know each other all over again, because it's been a little... My memory of UNCA is foggy.
Yeah,
I was talking about this earlier.
Same here. It was a long time ago. I love, and I love the intentionality of not only just want to reconnect with friends, but also saying, hey, like, this is a good way to just like boost the channel or have some kind of like engagement online. Other people would probably benefit from the conversation we're going to have around all things music. So I think it's a great way. It's a very 2023 way to like socialize. Is just like record your life if you're a creator, because people want to, I think people want to have a look into it and be, more, just be more inspired by it as well.
Yeah, I hope that there's an educational component that people can take away a little something. It's a broad splattering of, smattering, I think. A broad splattering of personalities and knowledge base here, from lead singers who are talk about sort of like the interplay of their ego and their performance a lot more than I think about not being a lead singer, you know. So that was an interesting sort of educational thing. Those conversations were educational for me. Or the deep gear stuff. I feel like a lot of people are going to just zone out if I start talking about gear too deeply. Ben Hovey, the one that you watched, was an extra hour long as he detailed his whole rig.
Yes.
I was very thankful for that, though.
I'll go back and watch that again. That's great. He's impressive.
Oh man, genius. The way that he's got everything set up is so unreal. It's like all these knobs to touch. So tell me about your setup a little bit. What are we going to be jamming on later? Yeah,
so I'm a big proponent of iOS music right now. Like I got a jazz degree, UNCA, and I've been playing guitar and sax for a long time. And when I was in college, I was also messing around with some DJ equipment, some samplers, loopers, turntables, stuff like that. I'm just messing around. I sold all of that stuff and took a break for a while and got back into live looping. Maybe a year before COVID, I was living in Texas with my wife and we had a regular gig there and got into live looping and just started using like a RC505, which is a hardware looper. And I realized that that there was so many advancements that I had left behind for a while with looping. I was like, okay, this is RC505. It's great. There's lots of quantizing. You can have different length loops. I have 5 different loops at my fingertips. I have effects. This is awesome. And then I continued to loop for a while. And then this year I got turned on to like iOS looper, which when I figured it out, I was just like, wow, there's just so much available for the iPad. And actually most people have a phone that runs that same looper app. So I'm always trying to turn people into just use your phone.
Yeah.
Like just use all this looper stuff that I took so long to learn that it's pretty great. Like actually you can take your phone out and figure out how to plug your guitar into your phone. Essentially there's some ways. Maybe you need an audio interface. I've seen some videos where some people will just use their onboard mic of their phone and have a headphone monitoring and play an acoustic.
Okay.
And that's a great way to do it. So you don't actually need an audio interface. You can headphone monitor your phone and just play your guitar and it'll pick up whatever or clap or whatever it's saying in the condenser mic in the phone. So I really like the accessibility of the iOS looper. I'm always trying to kind of turn, because it's cheaper. I think it's a cheaper entry point, and also I think there's no feature lacking there, and I think it's easier to use just because there's a touch screen. So I'm using the iPad right now with an audio interface plugged into it, and then I can run. I'm running a sampler in there right now, so I like to loop samples.
Okay, right. Have you made any of the samples, or
No.
do you have a go-to place to find the samples?
Yeah. I have sample packs from Splice and different things like that. So I've just curated a lot of stuff. I mean, Splice has really high quality samples and stuff. So
I just got turned on to Splice when I bought the MPC-1, and I was like, oh, now there's another thing I got to do, which is create like a library in Splice, sort of like Spotify playlist or whatever, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Where you collect your favorite samples.
Yeah, you just search sound. You may say like, I want a bossa nova guitar, and then you got a bossa nova guitar riff, and you in the key of whatever, and the tempo of whatever. So I do a lot of that. So I'll play these things in real time and just kind of like, I don't have any headphone monitoring. I just like listen to them coming out of the speaker, and a lot of time they're not organized, so I just am guessing and like hearing whatever I hear in the moment, and then I like it, I loop it, or I don't like it and I keep going.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll just kind of play those and start looping that.
Yeah, sometimes it not quite working can be a dissonant moment, and then the thing that you've tried to add that you're not going to take out is resolution. That's right.
That's right. The discovery process keeps me on my toes, and also helps me feel fresh and creative, because I don't get stuck, because I'm always guessing, and I like the improvisational feel of that, similar to the improv, a lot of the improv experience that we got at college with jazz.
Yeah, jazz. I had a great jazz bassist on recently, Connor Law, and he's awesome. We talked about the jazz chuckle. I think that happens a lot with live looping. Yeah. Where you add something and there's like, oh man, like, but it's so like sort of unexpected. It is in line with that feel of the jazz, because it's improvisatory. Yeah. Even if the samples can be pretty robust and complex.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a way to, just to feel. I think I play with myself a lot, and I can kind of surprise myself if I use a lot of new sounds. I think that helps me stay fresh. Although there's no substitute for playing with live musicians.
Yeah, I know. I loop as part of my practice routine every morning. Try to set up a synth bass thing on the Moog Grandmother, then play some guitar chords over it, then play trumpet over that, and then solo on guitar and solo on the Grandmother in a higher octave. And
nice.
yeah, it's a good exercise, but it's not the same social experience as, no matter how good it sounds to me in the moment, I'm sort of like, well, yeah. I did that.
There's something else when there's another musician in the mix.
Yeah, but getting these samples from Splice, it's almost like you're part of this network,
Yeah.
of other musicians who've created stuff.
That's right. There's a lot of little sample-based libraries like that. Splice is one. There's a lot of samplers on iOS that are just like some iOS. Innovation's got one called Groovebox. You can get some sample drums, bass, synth packs, and stuff like that. And yeah, it's kind of like for me, I like to take those loops and add effects to them and modify them in real time, or change the length, or I'm just kind of like mangling the loop
right
in the process, so it doesn't feel like I'm using somebody else's thing. I personally don't feel like I need to be more original, because I'm like, I'm just like I don't feel like I'm just drag and drop taking other people's music. I'm just like playing spurts of it and creating my own.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that argument is in the past, of sampling. I think the Beastie Boys and that era of sampling, that was a contention, I think. But I don't really hear that accusation so much anymore.
Yeah, I think the main thing is sometimes people call me a DJ.
Oh, no.
Right. But no. I think that's normal. I think anybody, if you...
A disc jockey.
I think I heard Ben Hovey say that on his thing too. I think it's if you're not playing, if you just at a table pushing buttons, you're to the common person, you are a DJ.
Right. Yeah. Do you want to at least be an MC?
Maybe I have to start singing, because DJs don't sing. I guess maybe. I need to start singing again. So that's one of my 2023 goals, is to do some vocal practice and get into incorporating.
We can start you tonight. I'll put a mic over there for the jam.
Thank you.
I had a great live looper. Deanna Hodges was on. Hey, if she's watching, has been on a couple of times, and she's got the 505 as well, and the Roland sampler. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Groovebox, one of the Roland Groove boxes.
No, it sort of looks like a calculator. I'm really blanking on it.
Oh, it's 404.
The 404, yeah.
404. See, that's a great way to do it. The 404 into the 505. You got your samples. You play your samples into the loops.
Yeah, she was rocking it. And then she was spitting, but then she had a mic, and she was saying weird poetry over.
That's great.
You can look back at those episodes if you want. It is pretty cool. I used to watch
that one. That's my kind of stuff.
Yeah, you'd like it.
Sampler into the looper and then mixing it up with some live vocals. I think it's fun. It's a fun way to improv. And I don't have any songs that I don't have any go-to songs.
Yeah.
The way I think about music is go-to sounds. Right. I'm just like go-to vibe, whatever I'm looking for, like a ambient vibe or a melodic vibe, or or a hip hop beat, or a certain BPM. Maybe I'm looking for a 130 BPM that's a little bit more of a faster, catchier 4 on the floor groove or something. That's the way I think about it. Just kind of like searching my feeling for what kind of vibe I want to bring, and then I know where to find those general vibes on the pack, and then I'm just looking for different samples.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you have go-to a particular bass sound that corresponds to any of those general categories that you just mentioned? I want this ambient feel, so I'm going to use this bass out of all the basses.
Right. Well, sometimes I will play a bass, but I do have the capability to select an instrument as well and just play a simple bass line. But I might just search for. I think you can't ever go wrong with funk bass.
I know, yeah. Get it in there. Even better, like
no matter what genre you're doing.
the MPC one, one of the expansion, like the free expansion that comes with it, sounds just like the clavier, like the funk clavier.
Yeah, that's another one.
Like that.
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, it's so good.
Because it fits well in the mix. You know, you don't have to hit it every time, but it's sparse enough. It fits well in the mix, and you know.
Yeah, Ben Hovey had a great bass sound coming through. So he uses Ableton. Let's get to it. Neither of us want to go down the Ableton road.
No.
We're avoiding it.
I have Ableton over there on my rig, but it's really just for the fact that Ableton has something called Ableton Link, which can link the start time of my looper to the start time, like in my sampler, and just in my. I can also have just like the start time of my loop or anything. So if I want to play some samples and like link up the start time or utilize some of that quantized stuff with my samplers, I can.
Yes. Yeah. I'm having difficulties with that with my MPC one. I'm not sure how to start and stop my drum loop, which is what I'm using the MPC one for, in time with the sequencers that I'm clocking, my Moog sequencers that are outside of the MPC one. But I'm sending the same clock to both from Pro Tools, but I can't get the MPC one to grab onto that clock if I end it. And it's tricky with the Moog sequencers too. If I've got the clock subdivided in any particular way, I have to make sure to like sort of prime the sequencer like right at the perfect moment.
Manually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real pain. But that's the only way to experiment around. And
I was doing it manually, that kind of stuff, for a while, and it works fine, I think.
Yeah, if you're patient, if it's not a live performance, if you're messing around.
Live too, but I'm messing around live a lot of times. But yeah, I like doing it. I mean, I think it works, right? It's better to have it kind of like technically correct, because then you can leverage some of those special easy features, you know, that make it more usable. And it will be more like likely to be like accurate as far as the timing goes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to check out Ableton Link, but nothing else inside Ableton.
That's right. No, it's just one button. It says link, and you push that, and that's. Okay. Then you wait for the other thing to like flash that it's linked.
Okay, good. Yeah, that seems easy enough.
Link all the things, and they're linked.
Ableton, I think, would solve all of my problems, but that's just too easy.
Oh my gosh. Yes, there's a live one of the content creators I follow released a live looping course for Ableton not too long ago. But I'm really into Loopy Pro, so I thought about buying it on Black Friday, but I didn't, because I'm just Loopy Pro all the way, which is the looper that I use. I really like being able to touch the touchscreen on the iPad, and also you can control a lot of the interface. You can create your own controls there. I can make my own little sample one-shots there. I can do a lot of things with audio routing, and iOS even has like VST plugins. They're called AUV3s. There's a lot of synths that I can add, even generative stuff, to make my own kind of like weird music or wavetable synths, or a lot of that stuff, or compressors, reverbs, all that, you know, guitar effects, pedal board, that kind of thing, just all on the iPad. Kinda.
Yeah, that's convenient for sure.
That's what I
sounds
like to
good
do.
With the Loopy Pro.
Within Loopy Pro, because
Right.
Loopy Pro has its own channels and its own mixer, so all that stuff can be on whatever mixers or buses or on the loop with the particular loop channel.
Yeah, that's really cool. Getting deep into the MPC one, it has those abilities. Not really. Well, it has a touch screen, but I'm not manipulating stuff in real time. But I can manipulate whatever effects. You know, the workflow seems pretty efficient inside of that. I mainly just want to use it to sample my own everything in the studio, like my own kick drum. Put like 4 mics on it, and then like mix it inside Pro Tools, like the perfect kick drum, and then I'll have that perfect kick drum, and end up just like having my own kit, but now at my fingertips. Because I think I mentioned having some production clients come over, And they don't typically want to watch me sit down at the drum set and say oops a whole lot of times. When people, come into a studio and want like a beat to sing over, I think the expectation is that you're setting up like that you're making a beat,
Oh man. Yep.
Sort of trap beat inside the box.
Oh man. Splice is good for that.
All right. How about this beat? Just search.
Oh man. One of my good friends, actually a fellow UNCA grad. His name's Mike Baldridge. He lives in Durham, and he has his own studio in the house, and he uses an electronic drum kit, and he uses Complete. I don't know if you ever heard of Complete. It's like one of those like sample packs. I think it's a Native Instruments or somebody like that. Complete or Contact sample kind of VST library, and he literally just uses that drum kit from the sample thing and then triggers it all with these, and he says it sounds just as good or better than his all of his miking skills and all of his Pro Tools mixing combined.
I know, it's like, why do you learn it? I feel like though that the curve of doing that stuff in real life, it takes so long to make it sound good, but then once there's like a sort of threshold that you cross over and you've got a better sound than the pre-recorded stuff.
Yes, I have not crossed that threshold.
Yeah, I'm working towards it. The threshold is something I believe in, but I don't know if I've experienced it.
So in my life, really, I've been very much like just throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. I especially with just trying to put stuff out there, I have a tendency to overthink anything I'm creating and never finish it. Or something like that. So if there's a barrier like that, a tech barrier that I know I'm going to spend hours on, I have just like developed this de facto mode over the years to just like blow past it and try to find the easiest thing just so I can put something out. Because I did play music for so many years and just like not put anything out.
I know, isn't that a tough thing to realize over and over again?
It's the reality of the thing, and that's why I try to just like, well, just use the sample pack. Just use the sample pack into the looper. Get some sounds out, get some vibes out, and just start creating with music. And there's probably going to be a lot of like imperfections with it, but it seems effective for just feeling like I expressed the idea and it's recorded.
Yeah. Putting something out there. And you do have a SoundCloud we should be plugging, right? And a YouTube.
A few subscribers on SoundCloud and YouTube.
There we go. Maybe a few more tonight.
That's right.
What's
I
the plug or the brand or the
Grambience? My name is Graham, so like the vibe. So ambient, I play a lot of ambient. So Grambience is the vibe. Is the you can search that for those two platforms, YouTube and SoundCloud. And I have basically just a couple songs up there, and looking to put some more of my sets in there as things progress. I'm really looking for a workflow right now where with my looper I develop a multi-track recording out of my sessions. All of my inputs get multi-tracked, all of my loops for different channels get on their own track, so I get this nice set of stems that might have 15 different stems that are all separate rather than like a combined input, and I could take that and pull it into a DAW per se, and then try to mix it and release these little tracks like that. But I just never get into like the post-production mindset. But now I've got 100 hours of my live looping performances that are all multi-track recorded that I would love to maybe sit down and start to like release some of those things.
You could maybe get an EP out of that.
I maybe could.
Yeah, maybe hundreds of hours.
At least a song.
Right. Oh man, I do that myself too. A good pastime of mine is just to come down here and like create a ton of sequences on all of my synthesizers, but unfortunately where it stands currently they all get summed into a mixer, and so I can't mix them separately, so that's a limitation that I'm gonna get past soon by getting another 18i20.
Yes.
I'm excited about that, but then I'll slam the drums, and so I've got a lot of recordings of like a bunch of sequences, craziness happening, and then me slamming the drums. And I do try to listen through it and say like, what is worth saving out of this, you know.
Yeah.
The intro music of both of ours is just from those sort of sessions, like, oh, this is a neat moment, this will work for this.
Nice.
But yeah, I record video of all the gigs that I play, and sitting down and editing that down into like little things it's difficult to get into that that mindset of releasing stuff.
Yeah, you know, on my Instagram, I just got something earlier this year. A friend of mine and I did like a song a day challenge on Instagram, where I would start to pull things out of some of those recordings and just post it on Instagram, maybe 1 minute, maybe 2 minute. And it wasn't necessarily great, perfected music, but it was just kind of like, it's almost like going towards the thing of like, it doesn't need to be like a release in order to release it. You know, it doesn't need to be
a big thing.
It doesn't necessarily need to be a song. It's just, you're just kind of releasing a sound, you're releasing content. And, you know, these days there's just so many other ways to release content rather than, you know, whatever a decade ago or 20 years ago, it's like you have to release a song or an EP or an album.
Yeah, I think that word in itself, content, you know, you mentioned that this is how it's done in 2023, to connect and hang out and like just a, you know, this is sort of an excuse, to
press live stream,
to hang out, right? To just put out content, you know. This is not refined. We're not necessarily making art, or are we?
Yes.
You know? But I think that there is some sort of distinction there, and I've had other guests what is the word? Not snark. Scoff at, you know, the word content, because they want to produce music that is this fully formed thing at the end of the process. But it does feel good to put out content. Yeah,
just snippets or expressions of what you're working on, feeling, playing around with, ideating on. All those things I think people enjoy or have some sort of, you know, potentially resonate with or get inspired by.
Yeah, I think that we share like an interest in a particular part of the musical process of just tinkering, you know, of that moment of just messing with stuff and seeing what happens and experimenting. And I do think that different musicians are you know, maybe aimed at or focused on different parts of that musical chain, you know?
Yeah.
It's difficult to keep the whole chain in mind.
That's right. That's right.
What gear do I need? What samples? Where do these samples come from? You know, what health routine do I even need to create the free time to make music in the first place? That's right.
Very important question. Very important question. Life routine supporting all of this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big part of it. It's a big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, life is big.
Yeah, well, it's
bigger than music.
It's bigger than work, right? It's bigger than our hobbies and our work and all these things. And, you know, the more we can find. I mean, I went on a hike today with some friends that I've known for you know, almost 20 years, you know, and it was great to hang out with them today for a while.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
good for the soul.
Yeah, we went on almost like a 10-mile hike and saw some waterfall and, you know, those kind of things that just help. Yeah, I feel refreshed. Kind of taking the week off from work a little bit this week. It's really nice.
That's great. It's next week for me.
Nice.
I cannot wait. So I'm very frazzled at the moment. I'm not. I'm a total mess.
Hopefully I can send you some vibes. So.
Yeah. You're keeping me grounded. I'm not just turning into a wisp of smoke. Yeah, it's important to relax. I'll get pretty obsessed with a musical idea or project that I want to get going, or like, I think for me, I'll get these waves of motivation or inspiration, and it's really important for me to ride that wave, like while I've got the interest to work on this project or get the perfect week of work, you know. Yeah. Maybe I'm going to stay up late working on a thing, and it's almost like this hopelessness that it's going to come back. I know it will come back. That's like the wrong way to put it maybe, but I try to lean in when I've got the motivation, because I know that inspiration is not always there to do the work.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true. That's true. Motivations can be fleeting or fragile.
Yeah.
Inspiration. Yeah, those are. Yeah, I agree.
But it can get in the way of like you obviously need to go on the hike with the friends. You can't be like, well, actually, I'm really feeling the inspiration right now. I gotta cancel.
Oh man,
it's all a balance.
For the last month, I've had I have a software business, and that's how I make most of my income. And for the last 2 months, I've had I knew I was gonna have a very busy time, so I didn't schedule any gigs. So I haven't had any gigs in November or December. Last time I played was around Halloween in Asheville. I played 2 gigs up here, and it was just work time, this, that. I'm gonna probably be practicing less, playing less music, and a lot of the time I was like, I'm just gonna play a lot more music over the Christmas break. So I have been just this last week.
Oh, that's good. You were looking forward to it?
Yes, yeah.
That's so funny, because I have not been playing a lot of music because I took a little Christmas break because it's my job.
Yeah.
My robust, I've used that word 4 times. I'm in a really robust mood at the moment.
Good word.
My practice routine has suffered a little bit, seeing a lot of family over the past couple of weeks and spending time, with people or with myself lazing out,
Yeah.
We all need it sometimes.
Yeah.
Tell me about these gigs that you're playing. What's the venue like, and what sort of sound equipment are you? You talked about your rig a little bit, although you do seem to have a controller over there that I don't know if you mentioned.
I have a launch pad that triggers the samples.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I have a MIDI controller that triggers the samples. I took a Launchpad Mini, and the cool thing about the Launchpad is you can customize the interface there. Whereas I used to play with just one of those little 24 key mini keyboards, right? Like a Launch Key or MPC mini keyboard or whatever they call it. But I just designed an interface that fit on the Launchpad. You can kind of go in their software and tell this button to do that, and you can make sliders and stuff on there, like a knob on the Launchpad, just the way that the sliders work.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Launchpad's fun. So I just use that to trigger my samples.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a must-have. I know that there's a way to use the MPC one as a controller in that way too. I'm not far away from that right now. But what about?
The MPC one has a sequencer on it too.
It's got everything.
It works without plugging it into a DAW, right?
It does. It's a DAW within itself.
What's the difference between MPC one and MPC Live? Because that's a big thing too, right?
That is a big.
That's a bigger
distinction.
That's a much bigger.
Live is somewhat more expensive, so I imagine that it has more utility. But I am sort of blanking on what that is.
And the MPC one is you can have access. It's probably the better deal because you get access to all their sound libraries and stuff like that, and you can do a lot with it, and probably make a sequencer, sequence your samples directly on the device without having to touch any of the DAW.
You can definitely sequence samples on the MPC one.
Yeah.
But the Live, what you're saying, the Live probably has more access to more samples.
I don't know. I feel like one of them has a marketplace where you can buy packs.
Let's Google it. I don't have my phone though.
I don't know.
All right, it doesn't matter.
Let's just say it does.
Somebody can comment. Not that we're looking at the comments. Maybe we'll look on the break.
Comments are good for everything. So
yeah, please comment. Smash the subscribe button.
Comments,
if you're watching on Instagram or Facebook, consider going over to YouTube, because I'd prefer everybody watch there.
But back to your question, my
please, your PA is what I was talking about.
I have a Bose L1 Pro 8.
Okay.
Yeah, so I carry that to any gig usually. But the last gig I played, there was a guy. I used in-house PA for that last gig.
Right. Yeah.
Because it was the way the place was set up. You kind of needed to.
Bose is the way to go, though.
Bose is the way to go.
I'm with you.
For sure. So it was the L1 Pro stick PA, the line array PA, as they say.
Right. Yeah, and that's the.
It's not stereo. It's not stereo. The only thing I don't like about it's not stereo.
That is.
And
tricky.
I like to make use of the panning that's built into the samples that I like to use.
Yeah.
The sample libraries have some panning. You know, they have some dimension there. To the
it's
sound.
not stereo because it's a large column, and I figure that
but they should still be able to like
the speakers
because the speakers
go sort of different directions.
Yeah,
right?
they exactly. If you look at the top, they've got the sub down here, and then you got this long pole of speakers, and they're little blocks like that, and one goes that way. Oh, that's nice. And one goes that way, one goes that way, and they just stack on.
But it's not. It is stereo because
no. If you run your signal out, and you pan it left and pan it right.
You can't tell.
There's zero.
Well, because the sub 2 that I'm getting, and you've got a sub 1.
It is an L1 Pro 8, so it's got the sub on it, but it doesn't have like a sub. There's no separate sub. It's got the.
That's right. I think
8
it's
has the big boy at the bottom, and then the.
Yeah, and then there are other models of the L.
Right.
Too right.
Yeah.
That I think
L1 Pro 8, the L1 Pro 16, and then the L1 Pro 32, and they just get a larger and larger sub with each one of those with the same top.
Yeah, I think the 32 you can use like a sub module, which is what I bought, the sub 2 that's coming, and I'm so excited about it. And I'll use it with the S1 Pro. Yeah, and I've got 2 of those, so nice. I'm sure those would sound stereo, but they're not especially loud.
That's right.
Yeah.
But, they're loud enough for 100 people.
Yeah. 2 of them.
Yeah. 2 of them are loud enough. I mean,
one of them's not quite loud enough for a cocktail hour.
Yeah, depending on where it is. A lot of times you turn these things up and, you can only give them about half volume before you realize it's like kind of too loud there. I think one thing I'm having trouble with is like, especially why I haven't started singing yet, is like I'm just trying to figure out like what effects chain that I need on my inputs and on my master to kind of like make sure that I can use vocal effects without getting feedback, because I like to use delays, reverbs, whatever, maybe some compression on the vocal chain, but I just run into feedback. And I do play with a vocalist sometimes, and I'll get feedback on her channel. I'm like, what am I doing?
Oh no!
Gotta get her.
What's the setup? I mean, you got to have the PA out in front and maybe monitor with headphones, right?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe the answer is doing some headphone monitoring live, or to have in-ears or something like that. I just don't have in-ears and haven't messed with headphone monitoring live like that, because I like to be able to hear also the mix. You when you're doing live performance, you're also trying to do the mix.
Yeah.
What does it sound like here? You're doing it all.
You can only read so much from everybody's faces. Like
the most you can get away with the looper is you just turn it on loop and you walk away.
Right.
Go walk around the room and come back.
I get a lot of feedback with the classical guitar because the body is so thin and the mic is so delicate, and often the gain is really high. And it took a long time. And I did get around to editing some of these video samples of gigs, where I had the PA or the S1 on the ground, Feedback City, because I guess it's just, a lot of stuff is bouncing off the ground and everything's really close to me. And so, a big lesson. I have to have it like right at where my guitar is pointed, sort of like, so I can still hear it,
Right.
But it's still mostly out in front.
Right.
It's a delicate balance.
Right.
I thought about the in-ears, but it's too uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's trying to do the in-ears, that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yeah, if you're a DJ, you can look cool with like holding the headphones.
I'm trying to get away from the DJ thing.
Right, exactly.
So something I discovered recently, FabFilter has a UV3 plugin for iPad called the Dynamic EQ. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Dynamic EQ, but it seemed like it cut down on some of the feedback issue that I was having with the microphone. Because it listens to the sound and EQ, like it's like an EQ and compressor at the same time, if you will. So like the not only is the EQ curve defined there, but the EQ curve will move down depending on what kind of signal is coming through at certain ranges.
Okay, so it's sort of like a multi-band compressor, but
it's
but
alive.
Only gain, right?
Yeah, it's like but on certain frequencies make it respond different ways. Yeah, so I found that a dynamic EQ was helping with some feedback.
That's because I guess you could find where the feedback's occurring and notch it really hard.
That's what it does that automatically.
Yeah, that's cool.
Dynamic. Yeah, I was like, wow, this is super helpful. Never heard of this before.
Yeah,
and it's an iPad app. I'm continuously surprised by. I'm sure it's all VST as well, but I'm continuously surprised by like iOS and like. I guess I think that's what I'm just trying to get people to understand who are musicians or tinkering around with home stuff or synth stuff is like just buy a simple MIDI controller and an iPad or iPhone, connect it via USB, and you've got some great synths there at your fingertips. Some of them are even free. Moog makes a great one for iOS as well. So yeah,
with a free one, the Animoog.
I think the
free?
Moog one is free. If it's not, maybe
or the
it's
Model D,
$10 or something like that. But like $10 for all that sound is like pretty mind blowing.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little snobbier.
Oh yeah,
I'm
for
sitting
sure.
on the other side of
for sure.
that argument.
Yes, for sure.
Shell out the $30,000 and get your own studio, or come to mine.
That's right.
I didn't shell out all that money. Working at Moog was
Moog for a while.
Beneficial. Yeah. It was a great community, a great learning experience, and really solidified my calling to do music full time, to be doing the music rather than some music adjacent thing. Which is not, the grass is always greener. Sometimes I wish that I'd compartmentalized music into like a hobby place or an artistic expression place. But I think working at Moog in the factory ended up being like, well, now I'm not even playing synthesizers all day. I'm just like building, screwing in screws. But ultimately, it was a positive experience. Yeah. The equipment is great. And listening to audiobooks all day was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure you learned a bunch of interesting stuff as well. Just about the flow of, I don't know, sound or electricity.
Yeah, do you ever wish, so you're a jazz studies major like me.
I didn't do the production.
Yes.
You also
should
did
have.
jazz studies. Now I'm remembering that because for some reason I'm looking around your studio and I'm like, Stan definitely got the production degree.
Maybe by now. I've had other tech students on.
You definitely have by now.
Who sort of just joke that they learned how to coil cables. I'm sure that they had to do all 4 physics classes, so I'm sure that they got a little bit more.
YouTube University, buddy. That's all. That's where my mindset's at.
Yeah, that's been very helpful for me. But man, if we had done that tech degree, who knows? Or we would have been soured on it.
Who knows? That's right. That's right. A lot of my free time when I was doing my jazz degree, like I said, I had some little effects things and was playing with Logic Pro and just messing around with that stuff for fun. I took the basic classes there, but they just didn't quite, I don't know, they didn't quite make me want to do it. And also I knew there was a bunch of programming classes that I would have to take for the tech degree as well. I was like, man, that's going to be hard. I don't know anything about programming. Lo and behold, I eventually learned to code, and now I have a software business, and that's my main thing. So.
Right, yeah, huh?
So that's kind of
life's funny like that.
Funny.
Yeah.
I was literally thinking like a couple of weeks ago, I should have done the music. Probably done the music tech program. That's smart.
Yeah, but the jazz program came up too. Like, I don't know when you what can I age you? What year?
What year I graduated?
Yeah.
2012.
Okay, yeah, because I was 13.
Yeah.
So Bears and Felix had arrived maybe your last year.
Yeah, my last year or two. We did
cool.
jazz theory together. I think you and I were in the same jazz theory class.
Yeah.
With Bears there.
With Bears. Did you take the first one not with Bears, with that other guy who's the piano player who taught us the master chord or whatever?
Yes.
For like a whole semester.
We were in Tom Coppola. Yes.
Tom Coppola.
I still think about that. He's like, well, the extension's over here. We can really just press any note. You just press any note on the piano.
The master chord, you should look it up. It's like it's a 10-note chord that is that you can use to resolve to like all 12 keys.
All right.
So it's like sort of a...
Every note resolves to every note.
It's like a master key.
That's what I learned in jazz theory level 1 from that class.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Jazz does feel like that sometimes. You could just play whatever note. But I don't know, I still play jazz and think about it a lot. And it flexes between that and like, no, there are very specific notes that you need to be playing.
Or jazz, that's right. Trying to get some voice leading going on here.
Yes, yeah. Let's see. We are getting close. We got 5 minutes left. Is there any hanging threads?
Has that been an hour or 5 minutes already?
We're at 50 minutes, yeah.
What?
I know, doesn't it fly by? It always feels like I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
We didn't really get into any deep personal truths or hurts or pain.
We do all that, and that's fine. 5 minutes.
We can
plenty of time for all of that.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm kidding. I'm still pained. My main pain from this conversation is you pointing out that the L1 are basically mono, because that's what I was looking forward to upgrading to.
The L1 Pro, the stick PA, it's pretty much mono. I mean, you kind of can't tell because it's Bose and it sounds good, but if you want to put on a panning delay or something like that, I feel like panning delay is one of those things that kind of adds a little dimension to like a live instrument, especially over samples. It kind of can bring it out of a mix. When live mix, from some of these little things I'm learning, just kind of like experimenting live a lot. You can't really get it's not as noticeable.
Right.
There's not as much dimension in that live sound.
It is technically stereo, because I know the sub that I'm looking at is got the 2 inputs and 2 outputs that are going whichever direction. Right.
The sub may be stereo. The sub would be stereo? Sub would be always not stereo.
The sub's not stereo, but the way Bose sets it up, it's like the sub becomes the mixer, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
like a link. So what a lot of people do is they buy 2 of those things.
Yeah, yikes.
They put one over here and one over here. Yeah, they buy two $1,400 thing. The L1 Pro 8. I think that's about the price of it. I got my own Facebook used. Lucky. I get lucky with a lot of gear. But I always usually go looking for the used stuff. But yeah, some people do too. And that's why you'll see 2 next to.
That was my first thought.
You'll see 2 sitting next to a DJ. Sitting next to a DJ table often, because people like to DJ with those 2 things as well. They just buy 2 of them.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Somebody at a DJ at a gig. It was a weird wedding gig where me and the violinist and I played the 2 like the songs for the bridal party and the bride, and then the DJ was there to play the recessional or a song specifically for the groom. It was a weird sort of transition, or I should say unusual or whatever. And he slammed down this sounded like Papa Roach or Evanescence or something of that ilk. But he walked up, he's like, I love your Bose. I always get that a lot with the Bose gear. It makes me,
Yes.
I'll probably just always have my Bose PA stuff.
Yeah, S1.
Because everybody's like, oh, but you know what you're doing.
Yeah, S1 Pros. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I've got literally 12 of those S1 Pros. And I was like, oh, okay, that's hilarious. Like, cool. And he's like, no, seriously, I have 12. I was like, okay, cool. I'm trying to set up, and I didn't really have time to talk to him about why he has 12.
I am so curious.
It's crazy, though. Maybe he just stacks them like the L1 columns.
Just put them all over the place.
Yeah. Just have one in every room of your house.
Or big venue over here, over there. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we talked about what you came on here to talk about, mainly Ableton. Stay away from it.
Ableton's cool and all, but I don't know how to use it very well, and that's pretty much it. And I haven't really dedicated the time to learn it. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, I think it takes, just like anything else, it takes some time. I see, about Ableton again, just as far as like a live looper thing, like I see a lot of people that mess with that, and more of a clip-based workflow. It doesn't It's like when people want to do live looping, you want to say like start, play, end and start loop. Whereas Ableton is like start, and I'm good like a click, 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 metronome, right? And then I count in, and I'm, it's just, yeah.
I was telling Ben Hovey about this problem, and he said that Ableton Live has a solution somewhere deep inside.
There are solutions.
Tons of solutions.
And like I said, a content creator that I know and who is actually Asheville based, and is quite an Ableton Live like aficionado, certified instructor and like lifetime user, has created a live looping course for Ableton Live.
Oh yeah.
But I'm already so deep into loopy, and I love iOS music, and I love being able to touch my iPad and the simplicity of it, that I'm staying on iOS. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna stay with Pro Tools. It's even farther away.
Yeah, I mean, when you get your setup, man, if you like it, just go with it, because all those differences, there's not much different. I think we know at the end of the day, after playing music long enough, it's just like if you feel it and you like it and your gear's there, it's like puts you in a good space, your comfort place, and you just create from there,
Yeah.
Your gear, it's meant to have your gear is meant to feel supportive for what you're doing.
Right. That's a nice way to wrap it all up. Yeah. It is all about that tinkering process, I think the moment of creation. And then, I saw like Rick Rubin say recently, like, if you don't want to work on this project anymore, it's over. You've completed it. Like, whether or not you want to actually put it out there for people to hear, if you're proud enough about it, that's one thing. And I think that's easy for Rick Rubin to say, who gets to like choose whatever projects he works on at any given moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes that striving, that dedication of like, I don't know if this is good anymore, but I got to finish it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely listen to Rick Rubin. I love guys like that. They're immortal in the space, right? Rick Rubin's one of those guys that just. It's so cool these days. We have access to like listen to people like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Check out their hair.
Yeah, check out their Rick Rubin's bedhead look. But yeah, just listen to the talk between him and Pharrell or whoever it is about high level whatever it is, and it's like, oh man, these guys are obviously like so iconic, and they're just kind of telling you what it's like from their perspective.
And so are we. Really that's what we're doing right now.
That's exactly right. It's a little less iconic.
And we're getting there.
So, at this point.
So you mentioned Grambience.
Yeah.
Do you have any shows coming up or anything?
I'm actually traveling out of the country with my wife in January.
Yeah.
So I didn't book anything.
Better.
But I think I'm going to start booking some things for February and March pretty soon. So I'll probably be in Asheville. I've got a place that I like to play in Richmond. At the Common House there, but I'm going to try to kind of create some more socials and get them out there, and do that thing. I also just like to show up in the middle of nowhere and bring my stuff and play music. I think I busked one day with my L1 Pro downtown Asheville.
Is that busking anymore?
With my friend, he had a Euro rack, and I had my live looping set up, and it was a full-on jam for an hour, and that was pretty amazing,
Yeah, that sounds cool.
We made some money, and felt really good.
Did somebody tell you to stop, or like, because the amplification?
It was quite loud. We were really going for it. We're right there at the middle of the town square, where the obelisk used to be.
Yeah, like Bomba.
Yeah.
Where
the obelisk, right in the Pack Place or Pack Square.
Yeah.
And actually, my battery died, and then 2 or 3 minutes later, the cop rolled up and was telling us to stop. It was like my battery was dead. I had a little battery that I brought in for the.
Right, the L1 doesn't have a battery.
No, the S-Win Pros do, but I had a battery for the L1.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've got
That's
like
cool.
just one
external.
of those. Yeah, just one of those camping battery. I've also done a lot of camping, so I got that kind of gear. But the camping battery, pretty good.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you more about your out of your international travel plans, but we're out of time.
Yeah, done with.
So. Yeah, check out Grambience. Check out this live stream every week. Check us out in about 5 minutes. We're going to take a quick break and get set up, and then we're going to jam. We'll be right back with some jams, except not on Instagram. because you're not even hearing this mic on Instagram. This is just coming from my phone. So if you're watching on Instagram and you do want to check out our jam, the jam half of the show, then you can watch on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or Twitch or LinkedIn if you are feeling pro. But thanks for tuning in, and thank you so much for coming on, Graham.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, our names rhyme.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Sam.
All right, let's hold that feeling for our jam. All right. And, yeah, we'll be right back. Bye, Instagram.
Bye for now, Instagram. So Restream does not Instagram.
It does. It's pretty cranked, so you might want to turn up your volume if you can.
Alright. This is like 80% volume for me.
Okay, we're still at like negative 40 on the... I've got it going into this splitter, but it's only coming out of the matriarch. It's not coming into my mothers, which is weird. Never seen that happen. So my work is about to start it. Okay, I think this mic is on, and if not, whoever's watching this will just watch me mouth things that you can't hear, and that's fine. Graham Whitley, thanks again for joining me. That was a fun jam. That was cool. Yeah, top 10 for sure. Yeah, really cool. And I'm Sam Irvin. This was 8 note, 8 parentheses PM note, and I will note that every time. And next week, yeah, it'll just be me coming at you, and then the week after that, more guests for chatting and jamming. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. And thank you, Graham. All right, bye. The thing I dropped earlier. Nice. Yeah.